Oh, hey. Welcome to SpeakEasy number 35, I think. But this is Badger Beer Report, SpeakEasy. So, doing a little mashup here. Doug is on the road, y'all, hanging out with family, doing cool things. I'm holding it down on a Friday, but I'm excited because tomorrow, going to a biggish event, beer event here in Wisconsin, Lagerfest, at McFleshman's Brewing in Appleton, Wisconsin. It's the Badger Easy, like that. There you go, JHG. So beer event tomorrow, Lagerfest. I'm a lover of lagers, and we're going tomorrow. So we have Bobby Fleshman here, who is founder, brewer extraordinaire of McFleshman's Brewing, one of my favorite breweries in Wisconsin. And the best part about that is y'all heard me say that when Bobby wasn't here. Probably more than once. So I'm not just saying it because my guy's here. I'm just saying. But I'm excited for that. So it's gonna look a little bit different, y'all. We're gonna be talking about Wisconsin Badger beer, but there's gonna be a whole lot of things that I think our normal audience will be able to grasp and talk, and y'all can please exercise your right to talk in the comments. But it's gonna be a different one. We will see Doug back here next week and with me. So, who we're going to see right now is my friend, colleague, one of the hardest working people in Wisconsin media business, is my friend, Brewery savant, whacker, a Green Bay whacker lover. I mean, Packer. Sorry. I'm going to do that now because I'm over here. I can feel a little safe, as opposed to in the Badger Beer Report where I don't feel safe making fun of the Packers because y'all will come for me. Like Joel's probably going to come for me now. Hi, Joel. How you doing?
I'm not worried about your opinion on that.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll
get into it later if we need to, but I'm not stressing. I'm not stressing about it at all yet. I'm not stressing about it.
Okay. Look, he's not stressing y'all, but he couldn't even wait to the time to talk about it. So it's going to be interesting. We'll get into that. I mean, Packer fans are a little itchy recently, so kind of should be. But anyway, hi Joel, how are you doing? One of the things that we like to talk about is what we're drinking, and what are you drinking, Joel, as the guest? And
so I'm doing a little preview for later when I give a little update on I guess the day and Mobcraft opened pretty much simultaneously, but the most recent newly opened brewery in Wisconsin and here in Milwaukee, Lombardi Brewing Company. I was there a week ago, I guess.
Show it again, Joel. Sorry.
Oh yeah, right here, Lombardi. Okay. I have the Golden Lager right here. And you can see the number 5 on there. That's for the Golden Boy, Paul Horning. Back in the Lombardi days. So we'll talk more Lombardi when the time comes for my full update, but nice, easy drinking, light golden lager. I can tell this was half of their cooler was full of this. I think this is my assumption is this is going to be one of, if not the main flagship that they're hoping to distribute out there. Seems like it's a pretty good beer to have for tailgating. And with the branding, it's hard to argue that it would not go phenomenally up there for the folks in and around Green Bay.
Yeah. We're more, or at least I'm more opinionated here than I'm normally at Badger Beer Report on a Friday. But I don't know about the can art, Joel. I'm not.
I you know me.
You won't hear me say that on Badger Beer
If
Report.
we're
But
being, well, I know, and you won't hear me say that I don't really like the logo, but the can art, and when you see all the cans together, because it's a very brand.
Put it up there again, Joel.
Yeah, and like all, like we have a picture of the cans somewhere.
Comments. Do y'all like the? Do y'all like the? I'm sorry, Joel. I'll shut up. Go on.
No, I was gonna say the can art, like they have the different numbers for the different Packer players. The can art has the same type of shield look, very straightforward. But it's a can art that I appreciate because of its simplicity in the day and age where everyone tries to have loud, colorful, crazy can art. With a lot of artwork where sometimes you can't even find the name of the beer or the brewery on it. I like the simplicity of it. I will say, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the logo. I think the logo could use a little tweaking, but it is what it is. But yeah, I like the can art. I think I have a picture of another one of the cans on the update when we do talk about them later. Because we had one. There was one of the beers there that was only in can pours. So my friend and I we did have one of those. But yeah, we'll see. And they, like I said, they just got the ball rolling. They're not brewing there. Oh yeah. We don't need to get into all that. We'll save that for Brewery Report. Save that for Brewery.
Absolutely.
I'm about to start talking about brewery stuff, Greg, and we gotta.
Yeah, no, that's cool. We got a banger guest, but Joel, can you put that can up or one more time, please?
Yep.
And so comment section, like it, hate it, but Joel loves it. I'm skeptical of it. Joel, how's the beer? By the way,
it's good. Like I said, very simple, easy drinking. All their stuff that was on tap there. There were some hits and misses. I'll get into that when we do the recap. I know Chris went and had
the golden lager though, what you're drinking.
Yeah, solid. Yeah, very solid. I would say not my top of the ones that I had, but this was the one that I got to bring home. Chris and I know Chris went and Chris had. We basically went bar for bar on what there you go. See, Daniel likes the label there, and he agrees with the logo. So he obviously looked it up. Here the logo's kind of, except my camera's being all funky here, but you can kind of see the logo.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Very Microsoft Paint-esque, in my opinion. But
all right.
But we'll hit a little hit and miss, but overall, like I said, there's some getting their feet wet.
All right.
What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I have a working draft. I'm not going to be able to see. Y'all heard me. Y'all know what I think about working draft. If I say it anymore, y'all don't get annoyed. But it's working draft bats and cats. A black IPA, one of my favorite beers styles ever. I should have been Daddy Black IPA, but I didn't know. But anyway, it would have went. It would have hit pretty good, Joe. So anyway, Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure Dave is a Wisconsin native. I'm pretty sure I don't. Dave definitely knows his ways around our breweries in southern Wisconsin. Though, shout out to David. Met him at north of the Bayou. So, without further ado, Joel, I think it's time to segue to our guest here. But before, okay, I think, do I have a slide I have to pull up here? Let's see, maybe. All right. So our guest, y'all, is nobody less than.
Asking. Before we go, someone's gonna ask in the comments to see the label because they were away. So hold on. Let me. Can I share my screen here quick? Here. Can you see that yet? Is that Sharon?
You should see it, right?
Yeah. So there's like another example of kind of some of them all kind of lined up there together. I'm guessing that isn't a positive. Oh my lord.
Okay, that's. Oh, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that.
We'll be looping back, guys.
Well, we will loop back, and we can save the comments too. So, I don't know if you can star them, but I will be starring them, and then we'll get back to JHG because I'm sure he's going to have more there. And that's why our comment section is amazing. But we're going to move on to our guests here real quick. So, oh yeah, um, so yeah, so our guest is none other than Bobby Fleshman, y'all. He's the co-owner and brewmaster of McFleshman Brewing Company in Appleton, Wisconsin. He's a former astrophysicist who holds a PhD, and I said that with such oomph because y'all know that that was what I was in college for. Holds a PhD as an astrophysicist, spent years working on NASA projects, including one focused on Saturn's moon Enceladus, which I don't have a question about that, but I do want to know if he believes that there's life on Enceladus because there is life on Enceladus, in my opinion. But whatever. He was introduced to traditional brewing styles while doing his postdoctoral work in Colorado, y'all, and he perfected classic English ales, y'all, as a form of rent. So I think we're going to have to ask him about that, along with his wife, Allison McCoy Fleshman, is a chemistry professor. Those guys brought their science background to the craft brewing world and found McFleshmans, which specializes in German lagers and British real ales. And one of the cool things about McFleshmans, y'all, it's like an English pub inside, and it's a German beer garden outside, and it's amazing. So they primarily brew y'all German lagers and English real ales. They got traditional cask ales served with beer engines. As I mentioned, the brewery is a unique experience mixed with, and they built the brewery up from ground scratch. And I remember walking in, Joel, and saying that, like, wow, this place feels like it's been here for 200 years. I'm not even lying.
100%.
And then Allison brings over the picture of her and Bobby, like, in the place, gutted, and like there's nothing in there. You know what I mean? Like one of those old abandoned kind of building things. And I was like just blown away about how wonderfully authentic it is. I wouldn't even say feels. It feels that, but it is wonderfully authentic in the brew pub. All right. So I think I got everything down for just to let everybody know who Bobby McFleshman is, who the McFleshmans are, because I think it's common knowledge in beer, Wisconsin beer, Joel, that a lot of people know McFleshmans. If we haven't had it, we know of them, or the beer, the beer scene. You've heard about them, and everybody knows about them, but not outside of Wisconsin. I don't believe that they know because McFleshmans is hyper local. So with that being said, they're excellent, and one of the best brewers in Wisconsin, in my opinion. And I'm allowed to give my opinion here. Well, I'm allowed to give my opinion everywhere, right, Joe? But I have more liberty today here in the Speakeasy to bring up our friend Bobby Fleshman from McFleshman's Brewery in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Thanks for having me.
Do I have? Come on, I gotta have some kind of clapping, Joel. What am I doing?
I don't know. I'm not in charge, Greg. This is your show, man.
I know. If you were in charge, you would have had it already. What's up, Bobby? How you doing? Are you busy? Tomorrow's a big day for you. It's the biggest probably event it's definitely the biggest event y'all put on, right? So tell us about it real quick, and I don't know if you wanted to comment on anything of the shenanigans that you heard before you got them.
Yeah, so you pointed out that my wife and I, Allison McCoy, Bobby Fleshman, we focus on the English and the Irish ales and the German lagers. So that's sort of capitalizing on our lineage. We are coincidentally, I love lagers and I am of German descent. So we wanted to double down on a celebration of lagers when they weren't cool, I guess about 8 years ago. And we've been building that up little by little, year by year. And we've drawn breweries from Minnesota, Michigan, Illinois, and we're getting our fingers out there. But we want to really focus on the best local breweries, the ones that focus on lagers. And I think we're up to 20, and we don't want to expand it too much yet. The footprint feels really good for about 20 breweries, so it's a selective collection. And one of the cool things about it is that brewers reach out to me, really want to be a part of it. And if you're on this side of the table, we get asked to do events constantly, and we sort of, I don't want to say we run from Beer Fest, but we're pretty exhausted to say yes to all of them. So it's a compliment to me when brewers reach out and they want to be part of this, and they feel like they were left out if they weren't added. So yeah, that's what we do. We require they all bring at least 2 lagers. They're always going to throw us a curveball, but every brewer that shows up is going to bring at least 2 lagers. So that would be at least 40. I would expect more like 60 to 70 tomorrow. And we don't actually have a booth, as it were. We like to tap a new beer every hour on the hour. McFleshmans does. So it'll be a specialty cask. So we kind of combine both of our passions. We put these lagers into cask, and then we tap those on the hour. So, and we'll have a band, and we'll have food, and we'll have an after party, and we're actually going to be taping or recording our own podcast after it's over with some of the brewers that are there. We have one called Respecting the Beer, and to get you guys on there. I think maybe you didn't make the last one we did, Greg, right?
No, actually, yeah, that was Chris and Landon talking to you about lining Googles.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I asked Joel, and he'll know I'm not bullshitting. I told them that they performed on that podcast better than they performed on our shit. It was so fascinating, and your podcast, while we're here, your podcast is one of the better, in my opinion, beer podcasts, just period, actually. It definitely is in Wisconsin because we only have a few. Badger Beer Hour is one of them. We have McFleshmans, we have New Glarus, and we have Knuth Brewing. But yeah, Bobby, I know Joe would love to come on, right, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometime. Yeah, I haven't been up there. I wish that I had a freer schedule to be able to come up there for the Lagerfest. I am Greg has lover of lagers there as his moniker description. I don't, but I do love. I don't know why the free travel thing is on there, but lagers are my absolute favorite. But unfortunately, as a family with 2 young children, sometimes our weekend schedules are no longer under my control. So just know that I would love to be able to be there.
Yeah, we'll keep doing it, man. One of these days we'll sync up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so back to Bobby's podcast real quick, y'all. It's a podcast that, yes, is Wisconsin centric, but it's also really broadly just beer, y'all. So y'all should check it out fully and wholly. I'm telling you. Probably, there's some episodes about Wisconsin because, again, that's where Bobby is, and that's where that's where they chose to build the brewery. And build their experience in Appleton, Wisconsin, which happens to be one of the better and bigger brewery scenes growing here, y'all. McFleshman's has been there for now actually a long time in comparison to where we're at now, and a lot of new ones coming in. But 8 years ain't a long time, but Bobby will tell you it probably is, but it's not. I mean, I think Bobby has a perspective. It is and it isn't at some point, but yeah. So Bobby, the podcast, it's really excellent. I just wanted to tell you that.
Yeah, shout out to David who does the production, and Gary that does the hosting.
Yeah, they'll be there tomorrow, right?
Yeah, they will. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to have words with those guys. Yeah. Yeah, that's good times. Good times.
Mm-hmm.
So Joel, did you have any questions about Lagerfest?
Yeah. So Bobby, what if someone is coming for the first time? What are kind of 1 or 2 things that you would suggest, whether it's kind of little tidbits of information that they may need to know ahead of time, or kind of, the best approach and how you would kind of go about the day if you were coming up and this was your first experience at the Lagerfest?
Yeah, this is probably good advice for any beer fest, but especially ours. We have half-liter Steins. We don't mess around with the small pours. But that said, we're not trying to get anybody smashed. They just get full pours when we get at the end of it, we go into we do a Stein hoisting thing, and we actually did that with full liters. But anyway, the point is, we think beers are best enjoyed in half pint form. That isn't to say you should have 20 or 30 of those. That's my warning, though. You asked what's my advice. The new person shouldn't walk up and start filling that glass up. Peruse what the brewers are bringing. They're bringing some stuff they're not going to have in their own tap rooms. They know this is an event they want to bring their best game. So walk around, ask the brewers, what's the cool thing that you brought just for this, and sample, and then toward the middle or end of it, start to get full pours and really experience those beers like they're meant to be enjoyed. This isn't a double IPA fest. It's not a sour beer fest. These are lagers meant to be quaffed in half liter or more quantities. But you got to do that responsibly. I'm not saying that anyone should be getting smashed, but there's a way to approach a beer fest like this one. It's don't look for quantity, look for quality.
Yeah. Do you ever get the opportunity? How many of the beers do you get to try? Because I know obviously you're going to be very busy, but do you ever go out, and I'm sure you have to kind of pick and choose to a certain extent, but do you get the opportunity to kind of peruse yourself?
Again, there's a proverbial secret handshake. You just go up and say what's behind the table that's not on this menu. There's going to be some cool stuff that you want to ask about back there, and that's the ones that I look closest at. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look at that. All right.
That's your tip.
All right. And you can find everything about Lagerfest on McFleshmans. I'm sorry, I don't know the website.
It's .com, yeah, McFleshmans.com, and it's unfortunately too easy to spell because it's an Americanized spelling of a German word smashed with my wife's McCoy name. So in McFleshmans, anyway, it's too easy to spell, but hopefully the Google will help you out there.
Yeah, all right. Okay, cool. And tickets are still available, right?
Yeah, they are. We're selling them really fast tonight. The weather's ridiculous, so we were a little concerned about running out of tickets to sell, which is a really great problem. Yeah.
Yep. And before I move on to the next thing, I do want to make a note, and I will put myself in the big screen for this one. And especially I want to talk to my friends that aren't Wisconsin people. So Bobby specifically just talked about how talking to people about pacing themselves, and this isn't one of those fests that you just want to just be being wild. And my friends, and I'm speaking to probably most of my friends that aren't in Wisconsin right now, I hear a lot about how Wisconsin is number one in consuming beer, and we are. One of the things, though, the nuances that I would love to talk about, or at least I'll talk about it, and if y'all want to jump in, that's cool. But I really want to accent this. The craft beer industry appears to be the craft beer scene and people appear to drink a little bit different than these people who drink 24 Michelob Ultras and whatever beer y'all be binging here in Wisconsin at crazy rates. I can really say with my anecdotal evidence says that it's not many of our craft beer drinkers. So I've been to many festivals in this state, and I've never seen anybody like I've seen people at the Great American Beer Festival, for example. So I'm just saying that it's we kind of drink differently here as craft beer drinkers than we do as overall drinkers. I think there's a dichotomy, or there's two different things going on or something, because I don't see this drunken wild behavior almost anywhere where I go, but I only almost go to craft beer breweries and events like that. So I didn't know, Bobby, you have a comment on that one? Or
if you just define drink responsibly, you see this slogan floating around in this state. I don't know. No, there's something about it. People keep it together here, but you're right. Within the craft beer world, people are really keeping it together by and large. That you're celebrating a craft and you're trying to savor it more than you are going for that quantity. That's for sure.
Joel, you have anything on that real quick? And we'll go back to.
I mean, I think we've talked about that before on Badger Beer Report, and just my own approach. I very much am in tune with my alcohol consumption. in terms of the quantity. And I do think that it plays an important role in both short term and long term. Both in terms of the short term being safe and the long term for everyone's personal health too, because obviously we all enjoy craft beer. We enjoy a lot of craft beer, but you still have to, take the approach of being, responsible about it. And as you mentioned, that is not something that is necessarily, Wisconsin's reputation with alcohol is not the best, but I do agree with you overall that it is much better within the craft community.
Well, and there's also some safeguards there. Number one, the point of entry. Let's just keep it real. You got to pay more for craft beer, so then that should do that. And also, craft beer drinkers respectfully, y'all. And I'm not trying to talk down on anybody, but I'll speak for myself and just in general. I think we like to taste our beer, and I don't mean that in like a rude way. I mean that in a way of a lot of craft beer drinkers know that once you reach a certain point where your palate is blown away by the seven double IPAs that you just drank, that you're not really even tasting the beer anymore. It's just not like that's why when I go all days, and maybe Joe can speak on this, but I go days when I'm just doing a whole bunch of tasting, and then by the time it's the evening, I'm done. My palate's gone. I'm not even really tasting the differences and the nuances between these beers. So now it's time to eat some food and have a big pint, Bobby, of something, and then I can really taste it. You know what I'm saying? So there's these safeguards that I think are built into craft beer, which pulls back that like binge aspect.
And my philosophy is that when it comes to the beers we make, is that you can be cerebral about it, you can be analytical, but also you can have it just be in the background. It can just be that social lubrication and nothing more. And that's sort of my whole philosophy on this. It is what you make it.
And which is a great segue to what I really wanted to talk to you about. Not that I didn't want to talk Lagerfest, but this collaboration here was so there's a lot here, and I'm not going to spend all your time, but I could literally spend an hour talking to you about this.
I would spend an hour on this one.
Yeah, you probably would. And actually, y'all did a full-blown podcast episode on this, right?
Yeah, we did one with John Keeling, the brewmaster of Fuller's.
Okay.
He and I met on the Brewers Journal podcast. A lot of podcasts here, and we vowed to eventually collaborate in some way. And this was before the pandemic, and now fast forward, we finally synced up, and we're able to do this collaboration. What I did was he opened his brew logs that he had access to from 1864 in London, Fuller's Brewing Company. I was able to pull apart what's known as their party guile method, which is just an old school way of doing a couple of runnings out of your mash, a strong and a weak wort, and you boil those separately and you recombine them in various ways to make various products. And it sounds really simple in that one sentence. I was able to tell you what they do, but if I were to go into the science and the methodology, it would take a good while and some pen and paper. But anyway, we were able to reverse engineer and pull it off on our system. We made an English bitter, which is what you have on the screen, and we made an ESB because Fuller's, you can't not. And so both of those ended up in our tap room, and I think they ended up at Great Taste is where we tapped them initially to really good reviews. I actually submitted the ESB to the Great American Beer Festival, so we'll know in a week how that one did. But of all the beers we ever brewed, that could arguably be my favorite one of all time, because it's the one that I had to really break my brain. It took me about 3 months to finally understand these old brew logs. And I like to say that I might know their brewing methods better than anyone in the U.S. at this point. I'm not sure who else would have dug that deep to replicate that process on the level we did. And it's not a brag. It's just a comment on how much time that I spent. But we built like you said, it's an Irish pub right in the middle of Wisconsin, and we make real ales in open fermentation. We do it in cask with all traditional ingredients through beer engines made in London. The whole 9 yards is we go the distance with this. So this was a crowning achievement for us, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Joel, any follow up on the Fullers?
No, I think I'm anxious to see how it all comes back. And is this a relationship that you're hoping to build on in the future as well?
Absolutely, yeah. And so he's now a retired brewmaster, but he shuffles back and forth between UK, and I think he has family in Chicago and in New York. So at some point, we'll get him up to our brewery, or I'll get over to where he is in some capacity, and we'll continue the collaboration. He's also opened the doors for other collaborations that have nothing to do with Fuller's. So yeah, I'd like to follow that breadcrumb trail.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
I'm a beer nerd,
So
man.
cool.
I love this stuff.
I know.
It's a business, but it's still a passion.
Yeah, and I was just super happy for you when I saw that, and I was just super happy for a Wisconsin brewery to be able to pull that off, and I was just proud of the whole thing, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
Joel, did you have that at the Great Taste?
No, I don't think so.
we brought a beer engine, so you will have known. We weren't just tapping a firkin. We ran it through an actual beer engine.
Yeah, I don't. If I did, I don't remember it, Greg, because there was about
Yeah, no. But and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I thought that you had it. I
very well may have.
It was good.
I think we sent a couple down to Bill at the Malt House there in Madison too.
Mm-hmm. So, you send a lot of You send a couple casts to Bill at the Malt House, and I've had a couple there because of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's got some expats that require it, so we got to keep sending.
Yeah, and he takes really good care of his beer.
Yeah,
shout out to Bill from the Malt House.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever have a bad beer in there. Like there's not like, oh, it's old and he just keeps no. It doesn't work that way there. So good on that. Joel, did you have you have something, right?
Yeah, well, I was just curious, we kind of already been talking about Appleton, growing, and I was curious on Bobby, on your thoughts in terms of the current kind of state of craft beer. As we have seen, I feel like a healthy number of openings, although a lot of the openings have been in communities that don't have breweries, and a lot of the closings have been in places that do have a lot of breweries. But Appleton is one place that we have seen both new breweries come in, and we have seen announcements for future locations of breweries. So just kind of your overall take on kind of where craft beer is sitting both in Appleton and kind of in Wisconsin as a whole.
Yeah, it's odd that I'm the guy that's the one pulling the community together, but because I'm kind of an introvert by at heart, but I do love beer so much. It gets me out of my shell, and I worked at Stone Arch here in Appleton, and I like to think that I helped the beer factory get where they are to some degree. They're our spiritual collaborators, and they're 25 feet away from us. Then you have Hop Yard, which is another good friend of ours, Oliver and Amy. And then I'm just talking about Appleton alone. We had the Vault 202 open this year. We did a collaboration with those guys before they open, and Ope is opening their second location in West College Avenue in Appleton. When you add this up, that we've gone from 2 to 10 breweries since we opened. We were number 3, and that is extraordinary in a time when you see closings like this in the industry. So I don't want to say we're a hotbed. I mean, 10 is hard to call yourself a hotbed, but it's nice to see an addition of breweries at the rate we're doing it. I think we're doing it in the right way. We're strongly collaborative, like I mentioned. We have a tight-knit community, which may go without saying wherever there are craft brewers, but I think ours is pretty unique. And I think I'm beating my own chest a little bit because I do have such strong relationships with each one of them. Case in point, Lagerfest is really a celebration of brewers, and it's really a celebration of that community that we have as brewers. So Appleton's really a special place that way. And I've talked about putting a billboard up saying exit here, not for a brewery, but for 10 breweries, and to show them the rate of the brewery openings in a city like this where the industry as a whole is really struggling. But as far as Wisconsin, there's some big breweries and you guys cover these stories more than I do, but it's a mature industry. And I think that you'll see as many openings as you do closings. You might see a couple more closings than openings this year, but I'm not sure that that's a reflection necessarily of craft beer. It's just the state of business and the economy maybe overall. Craft is alive and well in my view. I honestly have never felt in better. I feel less anxiety than ever for some reason. And I know the economy is what it is, but I think it's because we've just worked so hard to build our brand and to stick with what we do, and we're reaping those benefits now. You just got to find your lane. I think that's the trick here, and it's always been the trick. Establish a community.
Joe, we have more openings and closings, right?
Slightly, yes. Especially, I think if you count, I have to go. I can look at the map again, but especially if you count a couple of the like secondary locations. But we've had a healthy number of openings, and I think have we counted? We've got at least 3 or 4 that are going to open up here. We think before the end of 2025, and closings are obviously hard to predict because closings usually kind of come out of not necessarily out of nowhere, but there's not
Sometimes
as much lead up. There's not like some of these stories of openings we've been following for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and not as much of a lead up for the closing announcements typically.
I think we're all sort of in a beverage industry now. I mean, that may be the most obvious thing that anyone could say about it, but we can't just make beer, both because the market wants more than just beer, and B, because if you want to have that many businesses per capita, it does need to offer more, and it does need to be bigger as an industry to support as many as we have. And I think we're doing a good job of that. We're all technicians. We're all artists. Some of us are business people. I would like to say I'm number 3 on that list. I mean, I'm not number 3. That's my least of my skill sets, but I'm picking that up on the way. But an artist and a technician in this industry will have a lot of fun because there's a lot of different products that we're out there making. And I have tremendous fun with exploring new stuff and then making what we already do even better. So I think that there's something out there for everybody on both sides.
So I don't know, and I asked Chris Josner, who is a true, excuse my language, y'all, real ass journalist. Joel and I are just a bunch of geeks who do a lot of like searching on breweries. Chris is a real ass journalist. So I asked him, like, where do we get these numbers for how Wisconsin beer people drink and all that? But another thing that popped off of me as far as McFleshman goes is location, location, location. And the reason I say that, y'all, especially for y'all people who are not in Wisconsin, I saw a report, Bobby, and I think I talked to Chris about it. I saw a report that said that College Avenue and Appleton is the highest intensely beer or beverage and beer drinking corridor in the whole state of Wisconsin.
Maybe the nation. Yeah.
Yeah. So McFleshman's Brewing, y'all, just so you know, is like, it's probably 8 steps from College Avenue or something like that, right, Bobby? 10 or something. So y'all are in a good location. I don't know if did you know that when y'all had this location, or can you speak to is that statement true, and do you believe it to be true given your anecdotal evidence, which is pretty good anecdotal evidence given what you do?
So each year they publish the drunkest counties in the nation, and I think I want to say 9 out of the top 10 are in Wisconsin, and then 7 out of those are in the Fox Valley. So it's a lot. But I think it's a lot of that's tongue in cheek. I think now once you have that, once you're number 1 with a bullet, right? You're trying to keep yourself there on the top, just to have some good or bad press, whatever you want to call that. But with my own 2 eyes, I see there are 2 different Appletons. There's the one you're talking about that happens on College Avenue. If I were to be down there tonight, I would see it, especially a night like this with this weather. But there is a ton of consumption. There's no doubt about it. But there's like 57, I think, liquor licenses within a mile. It's a lot. That's the number I heard last, and they are active.
Yeah, and Bobby, for people who don't know Appleton, real quick, sorry to cut you off, but what's in Appleton that has these festive people there?
Oh, really? I don't know. I think the Performing Arts Center is really a good draw, but that's not going to draw that many people. I think it's just created its own culture. Appleton is actually quite the family community, honestly. and
So
it's
it's not
got.
a college town, right? So it's
I mean, it
not
happens to have,
Wisconsin,
yeah,
or
it
you know what I
happens
mean,
to have,
or
yeah.
Milwaukee, you know what I mean, or Madison or
Yep.
Milwaukee, that are definitely college towns, especially
Not,
both.
it is not that. It's I don't know. It's evolved over time, and it's got a lot of great food and a lot of great culture. This is, like I said, this runs parallel to like the day and the nighttime in a way. There are two sets of people, and it is it's we tend to cater to everyone, but we don't see that kind of traffic. We see plenty, but nothing like that would reflect these top drinking county in the United States numbers that you hear about. I see it actually all throughout Wisconsin. Everywhere I've been, people, beer and community go very strongly, very much hand in hand wherever you look in Wisconsin. There is some German lineage there. There's some Irish lineage, and it's obvious.
Joel, anything for Bobby before we ask him if he wants to part off, or
Yeah, no,
he
I
can stick,
think
he
I'm
can
good. I
stick
mean,
around. We can.
I'm
Okay.
excited
Sorry,
to hear
go, Joel.
more about Lagerfest once it comes, once it passes, and yeah, I love McFleshmans. I am hoping to get back up to Appleton because I need to go up to Vault 202 now that they are
Beautiful
open,
place.
and I'll have to come swing by McFleshmans whenever that does come to pass.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to Vault right before Lagerfest tomorrow, and then I'm gonna have a good time hanging out with Bobby. That's gonna be great.
Make sure
I've
you hit
been to
the Hop Yard if you haven't done that too. They're just up the road there.
Yeah, I just went to the new Hop Yard here in Menominee
Oh, the
Falls.
new one,
Too.
yeah.
I do have to, but because they're obviously they're not brewing there, but they have the pizza oven, and they're like they're doing all the whole pizza and the beer there also. So they got a nice location there in downtown Menominee Falls. So I think they're pretty well set up. Hopefully.
Yeah, now Bobby, this is a 1 day trip for me, man. I'm just gonna hit Vault and y'all, and then I hopefully will be coming back here soon in a couple weeks to visit all the ones I haven't there in Appleton. And then I don't know, I got to get up to Green Bay too because between Appleton and Green Bay, Joel and I have noticed that we just feel a synergy there. And I don't know, Joel and I love to accent that part of Wisconsin because we believe that for sure Milwaukee and Madison kind of sometimes take all the craft beer Wisconsin beer scene energy, if that makes sense, and and deservedly so, for both of them, if that makes sense. But at the same time, there's other areas that in Wisconsin that are just fantastic. Y'all are just one of them, and that need to be accented and shown. Like, I don't know, man, it's great. And Bobby, while we can let you go here if you need to go, that's great. If not, again, you can stay around for as long as you want. It's cool, but we just want to respect your time here, and we just I just love that you gave us this time on a Friday, right before Lagerfest, though. But that's great. And one of our other favorite, but I'll mention one of our other favorite lager festivals is Joel Lager and Friends.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
We had our first and only collaboration beer with Joe and the Gathering Place, and that's just another laid back, wonderful. And so this is what I'm envisioning for tomorrow is like like a duplicate kind of Lager and Friends, kind of like low key. But I don't know though. I don't know. I think y'all might be a little bit more intense. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. We're going to kick it off with a sort of a pride parade at the farm market before this whole thing goes. Yeah, it's
like, well, I think part of this too, Bobby, is like again because I just talked about Milwaukee. Milwaukee has its own energy, beer energy, and synergy, and all that. So like, it ain't even about that. I think really more is the way where y'all time this is. We're in Lagerfest season. I was gonna say we're in Oktoberfest season. So like basically, you know what I mean? Like this is the most one of the just best beer times period. In on the calendar, and y'all have placed it right in that area. And I think that's going to be I think that's what I'm going to feel more tomorrow, is like
Yeah.
more like an Oktoberfest feeling than I do at Lager and Friends, which is in the spring, so you don't get that vibe.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. I mean, Appleton's famous for having an Oktoberfest, and that was last week. So we couldn't call it Oktoberfest. That would be confusing. No, this is very focused on the local beers for sure. Very different experience.
But it's definitely in that season, and everybody's like ready, that festive season, and we're gonna see. I suspect we'll see a bunch of lederhosens tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
there's better, damn it.
Yeah,
better, damn it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And not to downplay the Lagerfest, but we have this other brand you might know about, our double IPA. It's called 547, and there's a day of the year, May 47th. If you want to work that out, it's June 16th. That is our that's our double IPA day. So we do have our own festival on the other side of the calendar, more or less. But it's not about lagers at that point. It's about that IPA, and that's a different cult for a different show we can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, yeah,
stuff up here.
Y'all have a very I don't want to say cult-like following on that beer, but it's very there's a strong there's some energy on that one.
It's family. Yeah,
and I think I was in your brew pub around that time, or I was in there and y'all were talking about it, or something was going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, my first time at McFleshmans, Joel, I walk in and I just didn't I didn't know that McFleshmans was basically family run all day every day. And Joel, walking into any brewery, it's sometimes you just don't know. You're just walking in without any pre-knowledge. So Joel, I walked up to the bar and I said, what's the most freshest beer y'all got on tap? And like Bobby's wife Allison, co-founder and co-chief and everything I believe they do. She was like, "Wow, that's one of the best questions I've heard in here," and like that's how we met. And I was like, "Oh my god, Allison's like my long lost sister. She's fucking awesome." And I don't know, like y'all are just great. I just love it. I just had such a good time in your brewery. It was cool that y'all were there, but it wouldn't have mattered actually. Just the atmosphere, the beer. Again, just the community feel. Simple things like pride flags and signs of unity, and it's just really great actually. I'm walking up to your place and going in. And I had really, a lot of people told me that y'all had good beer and it was a really good, y'all had good experience there. But Bobby, the more people tell me that stuff, the more I doubt it. So like,
yeah, the bar is high. And you're gonna let you down.
Yeah, the bar is really high. So then, right after I met y'all and had that, I ran out to Central Waters. It was Central Waters' birthday party, I think it was. Is that the one where they released Black Gold?
Yeah, that's like Black Gold. End of January. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was Black Gold. It was Black Gold. Yeah. So like, my day was like epic. It was like y'all Central Waters. I was like, that's the shit. That's the shit. Yeah. So thank you, Bobby. We will again. You want to stick around? That's cool, but we will let you go here if you need to go.
I'm gonna jet. I think get ready for the big day.
If you have any last words, please drop them now.
Just thanks for having me, and what an awesome introduction. I do these once in a while, and you knew more about me than I remember about me. That was amazing. But get my wife on here next time. We'll get you guys on our podcast too.
Yeah. You have I was actually going to talk to you about that tomorrow, so that's cool. When I roll through in October, maybe we can do it then. Because I actually want to be able to sit there with you because that's part of the experience.
Oh yeah. You can do much better, that way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's part of the experience with y'all because y'all do a lot of y'all's in house. Where we started as virtual, so we're just virtual. But because Joel lives in Milwaukee, so it's hard for us to do that. But so when a podcast does that, I kind of want to so that's why I haven't really sent out many signals for it to be on y'all's because I want to make sure I want to be able to come up there and do it. We'll do it live.
I endorse.
Anyway, I was gonna cut. Yeah. I'm going to cut this, so I won't do what I was going to do. But Bobby, thank you for coming on. I will see you in a matter of hours.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Greg.
Yep. Nice talking to you, Bobby.
Rock and roll,
Cheers.
guys.
We'll talk soon, Bobby. Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing the report back.
Anything to say about?
Like I said,
Bobby
I wish that I could go up with you and get to meet Bobby in person, but I'm sure that'll happen at some point. But I know that you will have an awesome time tomorrow and be able to give us the whole scoop and lowdown. I know you sent me the list of breweries earlier today, and I'll be anxious to hear what some of the favorites were and most interesting things were that you found there. Because I mean, at Lager and Friends, there were great beers, and then there was also some beers that were kind of like, pretty adventurous when it comes to lagers. So I'll be curious to hear what all you got going on over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Joel never wants to miss a Lagerfest.
No.
But I don't know, Joel. We'll see next year. I don't know. Seeing things went good with Bobby here, it seems like. So maybe we will have the same invite that we have next week. Actually, this is something that I don't even think I said to us. Bobby offered us a table at the fest, and I didn't take it because it was just me. But if we would have had one more person, we would have took the table for sure.
Just taking turns, bouncing around.
That's some shenanigans. Yeah. But my point is that if he offered it this year, hopefully he'll do it again next year. So that'll be awesome. So Joel, without further ado, we are going to transition here to our Wisconsin Brewery Report.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to log the transition. I wanted the transition because it will actually help with the cut, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But instead, we will transition here to the brewery report and we will do some post editing. So that's not the brewery report. That is an awesome beer and an awesome collaboration. That go to McFleshman's podcast, y'all, and find this one and listen to it. It's awesome. Joel, we will talk about the Great Dane, y'all. So Great Dane Brew Pub. What's going on, Joel?
Well, so I know we covered it earlier this year when they closed their Wausau location. And then here a couple weeks ago, they announced that they are now closing their Hilldale location in Madison. And I guess with your boots on the ground there in Madison, you may have a better feel for it. The Wausau closing didn't really, I mean, you never like to see closures, but it wasn't one that necessarily bothered me a whole lot in terms of being concerned because it was out there on its own. Wausau's, much more remote than, all the other Great Dane locations here in Wisconsin are in and around Madison. This one, once you lose a second location in the same year, I don't think it's time to pull the fire alarm quite yet, but I think there can be some slight concerns. I mean, Great Dane has been around for over 3 decades. It is a staple of not just the beer community in Madison, but just the community there. So I don't know if you have any other intel on details behind it. They obviously talk about changing landscapes of retail and restaurant and all that. And that's all well and good, but I am hoping that this is not a sign of larger struggles within Great Dane, because I do think it is a great component of the Madison beer scene in its own right.
Yeah. So, SpeakEasy Greg here is about to chime in. So, but my anecdotal evidence is your anecdotal evidence. Now, under the comment section of when Great Dane said that they were closing the Hilldale thing, you will find what I'm exactly going to say. So I'm just regurgitating that, and I'm not being mean or anything like that. In that comment section, more than 30 or 40% cited that Great Dane's food has gone downhill, and that the beer wasn't ever really that great. So then it becomes a situation where there are places like Vintage, and even in that, is the Cafe Hollander still there? Really close. Or my point is that like these craft beer,
there's more competition.
Yes, and these brew pubs, Vintage has won, best brew pub of the year, literally. And so there's two Vintages in that
Mm-hmm.
area. And there's two Great Danes in that area too, because the downtown one is kind of close to Hilldale. So it's almost like there's a little oversaturation of Great Dane. And again, if people are chiming in on the food, because Great Dane, for those who are not in Wisconsin, and someone who grew up with the Great Dane as a craft beer drinker who loved it, who started there. I'm telling you, I started there. My families have eaten Thanksgiving dinner there literally probably like 6 years in a row. And I'm not bullshitting. So, like, I love the Great Dane. I love it like it's nostalgia. I can't get
Mm-hmm.
enough. When I was younger, I couldn't get enough of it. I learned a lot about it. I love the aspect that they each had at one point each had a different brewer, Joel.
Yep.
They would brew
Mm-hmm.
different specialties. So then you would have to go to, and Great Dane was an OG. They were out there before we had the Giant Joneses and the Working Drafts and the
Way
Sergeants
before.
and
Way before.
and the Deltas and the Full Miles and the Octopies. They were there before all of that.
I mean, I was barely alive when they came into being.
So yeah, this stings. No matter what I just said
Mhm.
about what people think about why they're going down, it stings. It wasn't great. The club that I'm in that puts on the Great Taste of the Midwest, really close ties to the Great Dane. We're always up in that one, especially that one. So yeah, it's just a lot, and it's sad, but ultimately it's market forces, I think, and
Yep.
yeah, I'm concerned a little bit, Joel.
Yeah,
Concerned,
we'll see.
but we'll see.
If there's a third one, then I think it's time to pull the alarm. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
So, yeah, so we're good on that one.
So now just a little update here on Lombardi. I said that we were going to talk a little more on this. So
about Lombardi.
I just visited here last week with a friend here and went down and tried pretty much everything. Did half pour. So they had eight of their own beers, 7 on tap, 1 in the can pour. And then they also had guests. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Give our non-Wisconsin people a real quick summary about Lombardi and what like the evolution of Lombardi and what was there before. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. I was gonna get there, and
my bad.
No, you're good. So Lombardi is in the old City Lights location, which is a historic building dating back to like 1900 something for the Milwaukee like Light and Power Company way back in the day. Beautiful old towering building that you can see from the freeway. And City Lights closed at the very beginning of this year officially. I think they announced in late 2024, I believe, right, Greg? But then they closed in Lombardi, they've brewed some beer in the past via so District 1 up in Stevens Point. Some of the ownership here is also part of District 1, which is why you'll see some District 1 taps as guest taps for now until they continue to fill out the board. And then part of the ownership group is one of them is the nephew of former Green Bay Packer legendary coach Vince Lombardi, hence the name. Obviously, in the state of Wisconsin, that name carries about as much weight as any singular name possibly can. So I think that plays to a certain extent.
That's the damn truth.
Yeah. But yeah, so they had brewed, and then they had been looking for a location in Green Bay, I believe, and then that never really came to fruition. And then this kind of came open with City Lights closing, and they decided to go for it and just open up. They are not brewing there yet. It is so City Lights has a very big state-of-the-art system there that is currently still in bankruptcy. Community ownership. Yep. I think that's fair. We'll go with that. But so the system is still in bankruptcy. They do have a bid in on it. I talked with the folks there. So the plan is that they will be brewing there at some point. I believe that they will be distributing. They're already canning a lot of stuff. So I think that is going to come down the line. So both my friend and I, and I know our good friend Chris Drosner, he went and drank the beer. And as I said, we pretty much went line for line on the beers, on which ones we thought were good and which ones were full misses. And the Czech Pale Lager and the Czech Dark Lager were both very good. The Czech Amber was a full-on miss. Everything else was pretty solid. Like I said, the Golden Lager was solid. The Hefeweizen was pretty solid. Everything was very sessionable. I think the highest ABV beer on tap of the 8 was the Pale Ale at only 6% or 6 point something percent. And they will be making more beer though, because they did give me a taste. Because I was talking with them and they wanted, they were excited about everything, and they gave me they had not tapped it yet, but they had made a Belgian quad that was like 14 some percent, I think. So they are going to be doing big beers also. So I think they were just doing some lighter style stuff, all that kind of business. So, yeah, I think the shield is supposed to kind of be like the old school, like an NFL, because it does kind of look like the NFL shield, is my guess. Because it has the same kind of like the NFL along the top. That would be my assumption. But yeah, so I think there are some things to build off of for sure. I think, like I said, no matter what we think of some of the, logo. Like I said, I like the can art. I think the logo, definitely could use some tweak. But I think the brand itself is going to play right into the hands of so many Wisconsinites that, as long as the NFL, I don't know. I would guess a shield is enough of it's enough of like a common design, because it's not like they didn't use like an NFL football or anything in it. And they do have, they obviously have permission to use the Lombardi name, because Lombardi, literally one of the nephew of Vince Lombardi is one of the co-owners. But anyway, I do think there's some stuff to build off of. Like I said, overall the beers, there were some good ones in there. And I think they're still kind of figuring out their tap list and brewing also on a bigger capacity. So we will see, how that all plays out. But I'm cautiously optimistic, I think, with this brand. I'm going to definitely be checking back in, because, again, it's hard when, like, as you know, a lot of times when you visit a brewery for the first time, like you run into breweries that are just out the gate. Like when I went to Fond du Lac, that are just knocking out of the park right from the get-go. But a lot of times, breweries that are just brand new opening on these big systems, all that kind of stuff, like it takes a little time to get, everything where they want it to be, get recipes tweaked, get things sorted, especially considering they're not even brewing at their own facility right now. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But yeah, that's
yes, sir. JHG does not like brand copying. This is kind of different than our normal brewery report, where we don't have people commenting generally. Sorry to divert the convo.
We've talked about the Lombardi branding a lot on the actual
and we asked for y'all's opinion, and I wanted to hear your opinion specifically, JHG, for reasons, So then not for long. So yeah, Joel. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun to follow that one. What's going on?
I'm excited. I'm excited. So this is Tailwinds opening up in Union Grove here very soon. We are excited about this one. This is the aviation themed brewery. I have to remember that the audience is a little bit different than our normal Badger Beer Report, trying to give a little more background. So Union Grove being due west, kind of a Racine, less than an hour from Milwaukee. And they are kind of on the cusp of getting things across the line. I actually just today interviewed Rick, the owner, had a really good conversation with him. You can expect that interview to come out across the Badger Beer Report channels. I don't know, sometime in the nearish future.
Like next week.
They're still a few to several weeks out of officially opening. They have everything in place. I actually got to see some of it, via, on the video call. So they've got some really, really exciting stuff going on. But basically they just posted about getting all their permits done. They've got all of the serving tanks all set up. It is going to be a pretty nice shindig. They've got a guy there brewing who has over 3 decades of brewing experience. This is one that I think very well could hit the ground running in terms of they've already brewed multiple beers. What did he say they all had? They had an English mild, a hazy, a West Coast. What was the other one? I can't remember, but I know he's a huge fan of Belgian beer, so you can expect some Belgians as well as some German lagers, was my understanding. So, and this is another community similar to when we talk about Fond du Lac and some of the others that we're about to discuss that does not have a brewery, and everything that he told me was that the community is very excited about it, and they've all been very supportive and really rallied behind them. So, yeah, we will be on the lookout for an announcement, I think, in the coming weeks, and I hopefully we'll either be able to get down there for the soft opening or be able to get down there shortly after that. So, yeah. So, and I guess, so this guy, so Rick, he actually worked for his entire career, basically for, 3 decades as an executive chef for United Airlines. And that's why they have all this, they have tons and tons of airline memorabilia. And then he and his wife started a beer travel company that they would take people on tours to Belgium and Scotland and Ireland to breweries and beer trips, all this kind of good stuff. So, I think it's a very, very exciting project and all new build stuff. And I know you and I will both be excited when we finally get there.
Yeah, I love the being an astrophysicist kid in college. I love and I went to a flying school, so I love the whole flying thing. And it's fucking amazing. So it's gonna be great. And y'all will see that'll come out next week for sure. We'll get that out. And actually now I really want to see the video because now I want to see what's going on. I'm nosing.
Oh, you don't get to see a ton of it, but he does turn it towards the end. You get to see like all the serving because they have the serving tanks. Like the beer is going directly into into tanks for serving. So you're not getting it. They're not doing like kegs and stuff. They are serving it directly from serving tanks. So yeah.
Yeah, that play. Yeah. All right, Joel. So what do we have next, buddy?
Boulder Junction, we have a little update. They've been on a similar timeline. I actually talked with Rick about this. Boulder Junction, another brewery in a small community. This one way, way, way up in the North Woods, about as far north as you can get. And they've been on a similar timeline, and they are getting closer. You can see there that they have their whole tap list board. That I think most of the interior at this point is all done. They're just having to work on some electrical stuff, but this is, when we were talking to Bobby, we were talking about, I think we've still got a handful. They're going to open before the end of the year. Tailwinds is one. Boulder Junction is another that we believe are going to get across the finish line here in the coming month or so. So yeah, I think that should be real brief update. I know we don't have the same Wisconsin focus centric fan, so we don't need to dive too deep into all the updates, but that's where we're at right now. Should be yeah.
Is that good or is that sarcasm?
It's definitely sarcasm.
All right, well, here we go with this.
And then Mobcraft, this is just kind of, we discussed this last time. They're officially back open. They have been. It's very great to see them be part of the community again. They still have majority, I believe, of their beers are still guest taps. They only have, I think we discussed this. They're slowly working in their own beers into the tap list as they kind of ramp up production. But yeah, I think that is, go check out Mobcraft if you're back in the Milwaukee area.
Welcome back, Mobcraft. They were a resurrected brewery, y'all. They went out of business for people who don't know, and now they're back.
Someone from the financial person went and then bought it, so they had a front row seat to the decisions that were made and not made, and they now have their shot at it. So, and now another one that we think is going to be opening up here very soon, Greg, or not necessarily very soon, but hopefully before the end of the year. Brewed Omen, which is a really neat story for people that aren't familiar. So they've been a craft beer bar for several years now, and they decided to start brewing some of their own beer to have on tap. And so they built out a brewery in the basement. and they have been slowly chugging away. I believe we talked with them. They're getting closer. They had, they're going to be able to begin brewing here very soon. I know we'll be invited for the, I don't know, was that in reference to Brewed Omen or the Mobcraft one? I thought that might have popped up before, or was that, I don't know. But anyway, they this is one that will be invited to the soft opening, and I'm curious to see how it looks, because this is a rare instance where it's in a very established business, an established clientele base in downtown Hartford, and been successful and very well run to what at least from our perspective. And so now adding their own brewing on top of it, I think is a really cool viewpoint. So
JHC, hold on.
Yeah.
I talked to Kyle from Brewed Omen, so
Yep.
I'd like to make a comment on that. But also JHC, confirm this, please. You're talking about Brewed Omen, right? Yeah, solid logo. Yeah. So I do have to correct my colleague here real quick. Not really. This is a soft one. So when Brewed Omen was founded, apparently that's when they wanted to do the brewery, and it's just taking this long to go from point A to point B. And they're, as you said, I talked to Kyle, who is soon to be brewmaster, but he is the curator of their list. And he is their taproom manager.
How long?
So
when did they open? Do you know? Did you ask that?
Brewed Omen's like 4 years old.
I knew it'd been several years, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah, 3 or 4. And then the plan for the brewery was always in there, but they're they've been long term with it, thinking, Joel. But there's also been like different things they wanted to put it in there, and they wanted to put it in the place that they have, but then they couldn't put it in there. So then they bought the place next door, if you remember. It's this big, like long, epic. One day we will have that full story for y'all on Badger Beer Report for sure. Because Kyle wants to tell the story, and I actually really want to hear it. I've heard most of it because I've had the most correspondence with Kyle.
Yep.
But I would have to say, and I told him yesterday, that I fully believe that you've always been more energized about this one than I have. And I'm as energized with you, but early on you were like, dude, this is good. This might be a good one. Let's keep an eye on this one. I mean, we're going to keep an eye on everything, but you were really
that's what we do.
So what's up? What's going on? Yeah, I just wanted to say that. And also, like Joel said, really soon they're going to be able to make that turn. I can't give out any more information because I'm trying to be a journalist-ish person. I was told some things off the record, a lot of things off the record, actually. Brewed Omen is soon, and it's going to be awesome. For those in Hartford, Wisconsin, which is how far from Milwaukee, Joel? Ish.
I'm in Glen, so it's about a little over half an hour probably from downtown Milwaukee, but not much.
Okay, yeah.
About half an hour.
It's Milwaukee-ish, y'all. So it's in a good spot. So what's going on with not near Milwaukee, Joel?
Yeah, speaking of breweries that we try to keep our tabs on everything. This is one that just kind of has been like, we didn't get any information for selling. It's just Lost Apostle up there in Washburn, about literally as far north as you can get.
It's in Canada,
Wisconsin. Yeah, I mean, and we didn't really hear anything from them. We had our friend Bill go through and drive by and see. Oh yeah, no, they've made a little progress in the building. Well, they're now trying. They're apparently hiring a taproom manager, and I'm not exactly Sherlock Holmes here, but if they're looking to hire a taproom manager, that would make it seem like they are making more progress than we anticipated, Greg, because we did not envision that they were very close for a long time, because they hadn't really posted about anything, and then all of a sudden things just kind of pop up here. It's
good news. This is another brewery that's been in this has been in for like 4 or 5 years. They had like all kinds of weird things going on.
They were trying to rebuild a building, and then the building had to be torn down.
And then it collapsed, and something collapsed. And it was just it's a whole epic story.
Yeah.
And I don't know. At some point, we're gonna try to contact them and get that whole epic story, because that shit's epic.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is epic, but this came.
No.
We got a tip from a very reliable source who we won't name, but we get tips.
Yeah, we do. And this just kind of came out of left field. We don't even know how legit it is, but we figured it's worth throwing out there once. And if we can get more information, we will. And if we don't, then that'll be it. But the Iron Nugget in Hurley, Wisconsin has called themselves a brew pub. And they never had their own beer, but they had like brewing equipment. Well, apparently our source said that they more recently now there is an active brewing permit there registered, and they have a picture of the brewing equipment on their website with brewery opening soon. So this is a restaurant that we think may potentially be opening up a brewery. And this is another one that is up there as far north as you can get pretty much, except instead of Canada, you I think Greg, you said that, you can basically spit and hit the border with the Upper Peninsula up there. So yeah, this is just one that we're going to put in the tickler file, kind of just in the save for later box, see if anything comes of it. But this is a situation where, unlike a lot of the breweries that we've been discussing, this is similar to Brewed Omen at least, but not like the other ones. This is an established business. So if they have the equipment there, this isn't going to be a 1, 2, 3 year buildup. So if this ends up being legit, it could be something that moves a lot faster. So we'll see what shakes out. Not going to hold my breath, but it's good to have that information. And keep our eyes on it, just like we do with everything else.
Yeah, y'all. It's probably like a 3-minute walk from there to the Michigan to Michigan. So it's really up there. And also, after further review on the website, I know they call themselves a brew pub, and they can identify, Joel, however they want. But I got more gastropub vibes.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
I get that.
Better food.
They have a huge food menu that sounds really. At least reading the menu sounds really good.
Sure. And we, Joel's read a lot of mother effing menus, y'all, going to all these breweries, so he knows what a good menu looks like. But yeah, that gave me gastropub.
I get
vibes,
that,
which is really, gastropub to me is elevated food. Like, it's better food, and then the beer Cureless is somebody really messed with the beer Cureless. So my long-winded point is that that's really good hope for a brewery, because they already have this higher standard of food. They're like, no, we're not putting anything out that's bad. And I've never been there, but you can just tell by the whole menu, Joel, like what kind of thing you're getting into. So high hopes for that one, Joel. Even though we found that out like 2 minutes before the broadcast.
Yeah, and I could just see that being a place that makes 3 to 4, maybe 5 of their own beers, tossing them out there with the other stuff. But still counts. And so here are our typical things to keep an eye on. The one that I would say that we're really close-ish, there's 2 here that are closest, Radix and Derriere, close-ish. Radix, last we heard from them when I talked with them, was thinking maybe November-ish. Yeah, Danny, trust me, we've had this conversation and the other thing. Greg, are we gonna go fully off kilter here? Or are we gonna keep it? We're gonna keep it Badger Beer Report-ish, right?
No, keep going here. And keep going. We can.
Mm-hmm. But Radix, we have very high. Radix makes phenomenal beer, opening up in Cudahy, just south of Milwaukee. They were thinking hopefully November, late, early winter. My guess is going to be maybe more into the 2026 range, but we'll see. But that is one that I personally am very excited for. And you said you wanted to provide a little update on Derriere.
Oh yeah. Derriere is going on. The same thing's going on with Brewed Omen. The Brewed Omen update, y'all, was that they got their electricity going on their brew system. So that means that they can start brewing, and y'all know what that means. That means that we're gonna have breweries soon. And Derriere is in that same area where they had problems with their electricity and all that. They absolutely might have a Hefeweizen, actually. Don't underestimate this one. But so I JHG and Daniel, does any of these while we're on the logo thing, any of these jump off to you? Anything you like? So I'm gonna let me talk on Gravity Box here real quick. I'm pessimistic about Gravity Box as far as 2025 goes. I'm not pessimistic at all about the whole thing. It's going to happen. But I think I don't where it's at, y'all. It's at the Wisconsin Dells, and the Wisconsin Dells is a famous vacation tourist trap spot in Wisconsin that has they used to have the most water indoor water parks in the world together. I think probably bypass them or something now, but they have a lot of water parks. They got a lot of family events, but it's really like dead in the winter. So like I don't see Gravity Box making a big effort to open if it's going to be such a dark season up there. So who knows? We'll see. I don't know any. I'm just speculating off my thing here, and then off my ass basically. And then we got Youngblood here, which is I drive by it like numerous times a week, and they're building there, and I'm excited for that one. And then I think it's time for us to reach out to Dew City to see what's going on over there.
Yeah,
I'll
get
be
another
doing
little
that,
update.
thinking of that before. Yeah, I was thinking of that.
Been a while.
Yeah, and I was thinking of that 2 days or 3 days before you even put this logo up. So like, yeah, and you agree. So it's time for us to see what's going on there. And yeah, Joel. So anything else, buddy?
No, I think that kind of wraps it up. This, just have our normal slides with the numbers.
It's 262.
Yep.
208 breweries. For those who don't know, and a good recap. What does the 34 and the 20, Joel?
So additional tap rooms and locations. So that means breweries that have secondary spaces, third spaces, whatever the case may be, whether they brew or don't brew, if they have official tap rooms. And other are kind of places that don't necessarily fit into it, like they're their own brewery, but like places like with Pilot Project, places that are brewing and distributing beer but don't have a tap room. Those are kind of just some examples of that. And then, oh no, I was gonna say, here's our map, our current map now of all the openings this year in Wisconsin. We've been plugging away pretty good there, especially around the greater Milwaukee area. And I said, like we said, we've got probably here the announcements for the future. We've got at least, I would say, at least three that we're pretty optimistic on that are going to happen. 3 for sure, and then there's 2 other ones that are kind of maybes. So we're
maybes? Derriere and Gravity,
Derriere and Radix.
Oh, Radix. Okay,
yeah. So and then we're feeling pretty good about Tailwinds, Brudomen, and Boulder Junction. And now we actually, because we didn't even have time before we learned about it. I guess I could throw in the things to watch. I need to throw in what was it, Iron Nugget. So.
Iron Nugget.
Yeah, and then the final slide are the closings here. I added the other Great Dane logo so you can see it on there twice. So you can see when you compare the 2 maps, it looks like there's maybe a couple more closings. Yeah. Although you see like 1840 places like 1840 and Great Dane are losing and are losing like multiple locations. And now, yeah.
No, go. Keep talking.
I was going to say, and Hop and Barrel is technically coming back, although they will not have a tap room, I believe. Places like Arnoggin and City Lights both had breweries replace them. And a lot of the other breweries are ones that were, to put it kindly, not good. So, I think that's kind of where we're at with that. I'm just being honest, Greg. I'm allowed to be honest on here, right?
We're allowed to be honest everywhere, Joel. We just choose to be we just choose our words in our normal spot of working. But we don't choose our words on the back channels ever. But that's another thing.
Yeah.
I don't get to see that. But Joel, all right, that wraps another brewery report from Badger Beer Report. They're always fun and great. Joe, before we dip out of here, we're going to do this, though. It wouldn't be the Speakeasy if we didn't get a little messy. So I'm going to start here. What I'm watching is I watched the finale of Big Brother, the end of Big Brother. I watched this goofy shit, Joel. I admit it. It's just what it is. This season ended fucking amazing. For anybody who watches this dumb shit, it fucking ended great. I loved it. Anyway, no spoilers. Next, was one battle after another. I saw this in the movie theaters. It's a 2 hour and like 40 movie, and that's a lot for me to buy into, Joel. I can't just do that. Like, I can't. But my kids are older now, and I have a lot of time. Not, I wouldn't say a lot of time. I have more time to get back into going to movies and time that I get to spend. And I don't know. I asked the boys to go see this one. They didn't want to. They missed out. This movie is fucking fantastic, y'all. It's probably one of the best movies I've seen in a movie theater in maybe decades. It is that fucking good. And you will be hearing about this movie when it's time for all the fucking goofy words that y'all get annoyed by. It's excellent. Please, if y'all do movies, one of the things about it is that it's fucking timely. It's like right on point with what is going on in this country is right on point. And on that note, I'm going to shut up and not talk about it because I don't want to spoil it because it's only been out a week. But Leo DiCaprio and Sean Penn knock it right out of the park. The cinematography, Joel, it's just fucking like the way that movie ended and how they were like moving the cameras. It was just, I'm telling you, man, it was great. One battle after another. Y'all got to see it. Even if y'all see it in the future, make sure you see it. So, and something that Joel did not want to see is, and this is what Joel watches. Joel has 2 young kids. Joel's a busy guy. Joel doesn't watch much TV. He says he gets drawn in. He gets drawn into what his wife watches, and we can talk about that if you want.
Yeah,
but I prefer to talk about. Well, I want to talk about that. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about this because
Yeah.
obviously the Packers Browns game was a surprise. It was a good game. I don't really think rivals of the Packers are piling on the Packers for that one. And again, it was on the road. Browns got a good defense. Yeah, the series of events that led to y'all losing wasn't great, but I'm not like gonna be like, wow, they're done. Now the tie to the Cowboys, though, Joel, that to me that stings a little harder, and I'm not even a Packer fan. What do you got about these 2 games? Are your Packers still Super Bowl contenders?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going
100%.
on? The title.
What's happening right now is that it's week 4 of a very long season. We were missing, I think, 4 of our 4 offensive linemen. We were missing multiple. I mean, everybody gets injured, and it's just about getting guys healthy for the back half of the season. There are very few teams that don't go through any types of hiccups. And I would say my primary concern is with special teams because we have the highest paid special teams coordinator, and that continues to be a disaster because that is what cost us in both games was special teams, with blocked kicks in both games. And the special teams have cost the Packers probably at least 2 Super Bowls, definitely at least 1. With the Seattle debacle back in 2016 and several and probably in the end of the NFC Championship game against San Francisco too. So at least 2. That has been like, I don't know if it's like the football gods punishing the Packers for getting it right with 3 quarterbacks in a row, being like you'll have 3 very good quarterbacks, but your special teams will always be complete dog shit. So we'll see. I would like if they had made some other moves, maybe within the special teams, but we'll see how things look after the bye. I hated the early bye when the schedule came out, but with how injured the offensive line particularly is, I think because that was the big problem against the Browns. Because the Browns, like you said, the Browns have if not a championship caliber defense, right up there as they have a phenomenal defense. And so when you're going up against Myles Garrett and company and you're missing your 3 top offensive linemen, that is going to be a long day in the office. And they still should have been better prepared. They very much should have adjusted. And I think they thought that they had the game. And so they were trying to play conservative. And then, you see all it takes is one, or like you make a couple mistakes and all of a sudden it's gone. And that was the same thing with Dallas too, to a certain extent, but
and Joe, wait. So you don't put
team, but
you don't put any fault on the head coach?
Oh no, I very much do, and I think the biggest fault on the head coach is going to be if he isn't able to take responsibility for the failures within the coordinators, because the coordinators are being kept by the coach. And I would say Matt did not call a great game down the stretch in either game, and he's had, I think at times he's a very aggressive coach, but he tends to be more aggressive when he is once he gets a lead, he tends to kind of turtle, and and they get a lot more conservative and predictable. And I think that we have seen enough that he needs to let Jordan take the reins a little bit more. And I do think that will happen. And I think part of that is, again, because, offensive line, and we're still waiting for, kind of our number 2 wide receiver to come back later on down the road here. And yeah, I'm like, again, am I as optimistic and on top of the world as I was after the first 2 weeks? No, but in the NFL, it's a week by week league. I still think the NFC North is probably the best division in football this year. And I still think the Packers are in a very good position to win 11 or 12 games. They're going to win at least 11 games.
Your division is fucking tough, though.
It is, but we already are. We already beat the Lions once, so and unless obviously this is bearing injuries. If Jordan Love goes down, obviously this is all null and void.
We're taking
but
all that.
I think staying healthy. I definitely think this is obviously a playoff team, and then it just comes down to, can this young team that's been the youngest team in the league for like the last 3 seasons in a row make a jump? Because essentially with the Micah trade, they essentially opened up a 3 to 4 year window here where they're going to be going for it here in the next 3-ish years and try to win a title in the next 3 years, because, then cap stuff all happens. But because of how much youth they have, it was the right time to make a move like that. And I think it's already shown that it can and will work on the defensive side. And so I'm not stressing. I have a Packer, but I have friends that were, that live and die by every game, but I've kind of learned that that's not really, the way to go about it. And it is different, it is a lot more, it's not like cheering for the Bucks or the Brewers where, you can go on a multi-game losing streak and not really fret much at all, because there's 82 games or 160. There is a certain amount of, if the Packers come out, because they have a pretty gentle schedule coming out of the bye. They play the Bengals. If they don't come out and beat down on the Bengals out of the bye week, then I think you can start to maybe ask some questions about whether or not this team is ready to take a step. Because I do think that this year they need to win at least one playoff game for it to be I think, they won one the first year there with Love, and then they didn't last year. They lost to the eventual Super Bowl champions. But I think this year they should definitely look to win at least one. And it's early, lot of ball game left, a lot of ball game to be played for every team out there. And I mean, we saw what happens too. I mean, you take a team like the Lions last year, who were arguably the best team in the NFC the entire season. They get some key injuries late in the year and get bounced against a Washington Commanders team that barely scraped by in the playoffs. So, when it comes down to it, you just got to have your best guys out there when it matters, and then roll the dice and hope that they land with you.
Well, all right. Maybe we'll be able to talk to you later in the year, but we're going to move on to one more thing, and then we're getting out of here. You have a 10-hour flight, Joe. Are you sitting next to Taylor Swift?
I am not. Did you hear her new album came out, and it is getting destroyed online.
It's getting dragged around.
It is getting dragged through the mud. I'm probably I don't even know who that is. The second row on the right hand side, the bottom right. I don't even know. I'm probably going to go with LeBron and Shaq because Shaq's a pretty hilarious guy. Either that or that bottom one by
those two are tennis players. Carlos Alvarez and
that's right.
Yeah.
I'd either go between LeBron or Shaq, but that's also a middle seat. So I'm thinking maybe I would maybe go either window with Shohei because Shohei and Shai probably wouldn't talk at all. Be a nice quiet flight right up there against the window. Or I would see Jalen being respectful, and I'm an aisle seat guy, so I'd probably sit aisle seat maybe next to Jalen Hurts.
There's some of these are just no way in hell. Like,
I mean the Bill Belichick and his toddler, granddaughter girlfriend. That one is the real. It'd be fun to talk ball, I guess, with Paige and Caitlin. I would say I would enjoy talking. Yeah. I would enjoy Andy Reid, but Andy Reid and Rodgers, those are some big guys there, and it's just preferable to not,
Andy Reid's going to be partly in your chair for sure.
Yeah. I don't need to be in the Nick Saban.
No, I couldn't. I'm not a huge McAfee fan, so
I'll sit that one out.
Yeah. I wouldn't fuck with Belichick. Taylor Swift and Kelsey, that's so obnoxious. I can't do that. I don't even. So, and that's the problem with Jalen Hurts' seat is that those two are in the back, so you can still hear them. You know what I mean?
That's why you have noise. I mean, you have headphones.
Okay. But I still, I don't know. I'm pretty much doing LeBron and Shaq, and I'll just laugh the whole way through because their banter will be hilarious. And Shaq's huge, so he's going to be all in my seat.
I know. That's why I think I would go with the aisle seat with Jalen Hurts and then maybe the Shohei because that would just be a very quiet row because you'd have Saban behind you, and he probably was a pretty quiet guy on the plane also. But I mean, in terms of entertainment, though, if like space isn't an issue, the Shaq LeBron is probably the way to go.
Right. And then the two ladies, the two lady basketball players, I think that would be fun too.
Yeah, I said that. I said talking ball with Caitlin and Paige.
Yeah, Boykers is her name. She's good. I have no idea who the people on the bottom on the right are. I know that's an NBA player and all that, or WNBA, but so I don't know. I'm good.
Dana Altman, that's the UConn women's coach.
And Carlos Alcaraz. Oof. So that wouldn't be bad. But whatever. Anyway, Joel, on that note, get out of here. Joel, actually, one thing we do here real quick is so we were caught up, and I was caught up with fanboying over Bobby because I love him and all that. So I didn't get to tell my second beer. My first beer was Working Drafts, Bats and Cats, IPA. It's Working Drafts, so just assume that it's good unless I pan it. And then we have Cross-Eye Bear. This one was their collab with Lupulin, and this was at the Great Taste, so you might have had this one, Joel. But Lupulin's a good one. And Working Draft. It was a Dunkel. And I drank as much as that as I did the double IPA. They both were excellent. Joel, what did you have this evening?
I just had the golden lager from Lombardi. It was a nice, like I said, very simple, easy drinking. Feel like it's like, a fastball down the center of the plate, not going to blow you away by any stretch of the imagination, but gets the job done for sure. And I would happily drink more of them. That's kind of my takeaway.
Well, amen to that. And do you have any book appearances, or would you like to talk about your book real quick before?
Not in the immediate future. I'm working on a couple things potentially here still, but we're now 2.5 months out from the 1-year anniversary of the book. And
what was the name of the book, Joe?
Flights Across America, a brewery lover's journey.
Where can you get it?
Anywhere that you can buy books online. There's links to that in my bio on Instagram and Twitter. Brewery Travels. Yep, there it is. Flights Across America, a brewery lover's journey. If you just do Flights Across America, for a book. It should just come up. But yeah, I mean, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, basically everywhere online that you can buy books. It's in a handful of bookstores here locally, a couple different places. So, absolutely. It's always a good time to talk with my buddy Greg, especially in a little bit less regimented fashion as we are on a normal brewery report, where it's a little more structured. We still have a little more, opinion stuff, but it's a little more cut and dry,
Sure. Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, and so getting up these summing up the comments before we get out here. So JC was talking about solid logo. I think that went to Brewdome, and then he was saying that the mob logo was source, like you called. So yeah, I can't get over that branding. I just can't.
Yeah, there's a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, and like I said before, maybe JC. Daniel thought that was funny. JC, shattered glass is metal, and I love it. Yeah, the shattered glass is pretty one. This is an interesting one. The gravity box logo reminds me of Trogs. Yeah. And then JC said before that the gravity box one looked like a clip. No. Look, what did he say? Where is it down here? Oh yeah, here it is. Looks like many you name here. we don't hold back here on the speakeasy. Let's see here. Daniel's gonna go try to see that movie. Go try to see that movie, Daniel. So then yo. All right, Joel. We'll see you on the other side. For Badger Beer Report people, look for Joel's interview with, I'm sorry, what's his name from Tailwinds?
Rick McNabb.
Yeah. Rick. And look for that early to mid next week. Also look for our interview with Bobby. We're gonna cut that out and send that via podcast. We'll also cut out the Badger Report part tonight and put it out there early next week. You have a great weekend, Joel.
You as well.
I'm going. You already know it's sealed. I'm going to Vault and Lagerfest. So, I mean, it's already in the books. It's going to be great. So, check you out soon. Thanks again, Joel. It's been fun.
As always, Greg. Cheers.
And shout out to our other Badger Beer Report cohorts who could not join us, but they were asked, y'all. So we tried. Garth is over at his bar with his lederhosen on and all that, y'all. So, he's probably still there. All right, y'all. See y'all next week.